It's flagrant, it's intentional, and it's a horrible stench. It's flagrant. It says this in Proverbs 14, verse 34, too. It says this: godliness makes a nation great, but sin is a disgrace to any people. And you see, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah had become just okay with everyone doing what seemed good to them. And if you want to see just how flagrant their sin was, go read that sometime. Read it tonight. And so God sent 2 angels to the city, and the way that those angels were treated, you wouldn't even believe it. And I can't even really talk about it here on stage. It's flagrant. But you know, one of the things that I want to be able to one of the things that I found important to be able to try to live the life that I think that God is calling me to, I have to be humble enough to be able to appreciate that I do a lot of flagrantly gross stuff too. There are plenty of things that the enemy keeps bringing to my mind, to places I've been and things that I've done that are flagrant to the Lord. And he's got no hesitation on being able to put that on repeat in my mind. Anybody with me? The enemy is good at doing that, isn't he? Of just making you remember the worst things that you've done, the worst things that you've said, the horrible places that you've been, the horrible things that have hurt you, the trauma and the tragedies that you've been through. He does his very best to make those things define you and to convince you that because of them, that what you are is flagrantly in opposition to the Lord. A flagrant, horrible stench to the Lord because you did this thing. And it is true. Sin is flagrant. And so God sends these 2 angels into the city, and he specifically sends them because Abram had made a deal with God. When God told Abraham that he was going to destroy the city, God said, wait a second, God, aren't you the God of grace and of mercy? God, if there's even 50 people who were righteous, you wouldn't destroy a whole city of unrighteous people if there's even 50 righteous people, right? And God says, Abraham, I wouldn't. And then Abram said, okay, God, don't be mad with me, but because I know that there's probably thousands who are doing these things, but what if there's even 40? God, you wouldn't destroy a whole city, even if there were 40 righteous people, would you? 40 people who were trying to follow the nudge, who were trying to live faithfully to you. If there was even 40 people, you wouldn't destroy a whole city, would you, God? And God said, I wouldn't for 40. And Abraham comes back and he says, what about 30? And eventually Abraham comes back and says, what about 15? And eventually he gets it down and says, God, what if there was even 10? And God says, Abram, I would spare the entire city if there was even 10 people who would follow me. Can you hear that, student ministry? When you think about the hurt that is in our world and in our country and in our community and in your schools and maybe in your family, can you hear the grace and the mercy of God? That God says, even if there were 10 people in the city, the whole city would be protected by the faithfulness of 10. If I can just find 10 people, and so Abraham leaves guys like, I'm sure I can find 10. And Abram can find one family. His nephew's family. His nephew's name was Lot. And Lot and his family had not yet been completely corrupted by the city, though I think what you're going to discover is they had learned to at least be accepting of the city. And so eventually the people are being disgusting and horrible, and God says, listen, my mercy at this point is to spare them because of the great outcry and torment in this place, and to allow my anger and my wrath towards sin to come to this place because what they're doing is flagrant. Go read it. And so it says that the angels came to the city, and they came to Lot's family, and listen to what happened. This is really cool. And it says in Genesis chapter 19, verses 15 through 17, and with the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished. And when Lot hesitated, and a lot of you tonight, there's some hesitation in you. You know the life that God's calling you to. You know what it looks like to live a life according to what Scripture says is good. But for a lot of you, and I don't fully understand why, other than the fact that I have a sinful flesh, and I've been in that place too, but I don't get it. It doesn't make sense when we compare it with the amazing things that we've experienced from God. But I don't understand why we do it. But for a lot of you, you're in that place tonight, you're hesitating. You feel God calling you to openness, into a new life, and to a life of faithfulness. But on some level, for a lot of you, you're hesitating. You're not so sure that you wouldn't rather be on some sort of trip with your friends, getting to do whatever it is that you want to do, versus being here at camp. And so whatever it is that God is stirring in you, or what you've seen from Him, and what He's calling you to, there is a great hesitation. And so when the angel said, listen, God is about to destroy this place because their sin is so flagrant. And Lot's like, what? He's going to destroy it? He's like, you got to get out of here now. Get your wife and get your daughters because there's a tornado coming. Do y'all remember those storms that passed through Houston last week? I mean, everybody was like, man, get in the middle of your house like it's crazy, and you're looking outside and the trees are falling, and we were all ready to do whatever it took to get shelter. And Lot's being told, like, hey, listen, God's about to pour out His wrath in this place that's going to be destroyed. Get your wife and get your 2 daughters and get out of here. And Lot's like, okay, put the city. No, but we've got some, important stuff going on, and we have some really fun on Fridays, and man, it's, sometimes we're able to do some stuff and make our troubles feel away, and he had gotten so sucked into the culture that he hesitated. And listen to what it says. This is cool. But Lot hesitated, and the men, the angels, grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and his 2 daughters, and led them to safety out of the city. For the Lord was merciful. And as soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, flee for your lives. Don't look back, and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away. Isn't it cool to see that even when you hesitate, God will be here this week for you, just like He did for Lot's family. God has His hand of mercy reached out and said, listen, I know that our culture is full of sin. I know that there's been people who have hurt you and that you've been washed up and caught up in sin. I know what that boy did to you. I know what happened in that relationship with that girl. I know what you've been through. I know the shame and the guilt that you carry. And I know that you feel like you may be unworthy of being set free from that. And you feel so washed up in that culture. You're confused as to what it is that you should be doing. And God says this. Come with me. Let me lead you out of that, and let me show my mercy to you. And God says, my hand of mercy is extended to you. And you're right, you don't deserve my mercy, but my mercy has been extended to each of you through what my Son did on the cross for you. I'm here. Come on, come with me. Let me take you to what is good. Let me free you from what's been holding you. Let me heal you from what's been done to you. Come on, my hand is here. Come with me. Who will come? Come on. The destruction is coming because of the sin that is being rampant all around you, and I'm looking for just someone to come. Don't you know that even if just one of you come, the kind of blessings that can fall in this place, let alone if 10 of you come, if 20 of you come, if 30 of you come, if 50 of you come, don't you know what this last night of worship could be like if 100 or 200 or 300 of you reach out and take God's hand of mercy? Don't hesitate. Flee. It's time to leave behind. It's time to run from those things. It's time to truly put those things to death and say, God, those things that are behind me, it's time to let them be put to rest. Because I'm stepping into the mercy that you have. And let Him lead you out of your sin. He says, I am. This is what it says in John 10:9. I am the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. They will come and go freely. And will find good pastures. Don't miss the middle part of that verse. those who come in through me will be saved. Jesus says, my hand of mercy is right here. Would you pray with me, students?